That was what this Divya Drishti does. Plus, he was. It had left such a impression on him that in the 18th chapter he recollects this experience. So we'll see that when we come to that. So it was just out of sheer love that he was saying that I am so um, amazed at this whole thing. So because the point is that Bhagwan only creates these desires. So because he wanted to show it to Arjuna, so he said, okay, let me invoke this desire in him. So, and now what is Divya Drishti actually? So there are multiple people have said multiple things about it. Even Swami Chinmayanand, he calls it is the what is it called, the Jnana Chakshu, that through that you will see that. But then some people say that no, actually you will see that real thing. It's a visual thing. It is something that what we can experience. It's like when you go to a 3D movie, you, you have to wear certain glasses to see the depth, to see the actual effect of it. So, and those are not Divya Chakshu, but point is that you are able to see what you are not able to see otherwise. That is what it means. So even Bhagwan had asked him that whatever you want to see will be right there. Whatever you have desire to see is right in front of you. And that which you have, which you are anticipating of the future, that also you can see here. Everything is right, available right here, right now. That same thing, movie title, everything, everywhere, all at once. This is exactly what it is. So this is the Bhagwan's showing it to him. Now, as soon as Bhagwan has given him Divya Drishti, Arjun is quiet because he's so awestruck. So somebody has to tell what is going on, because Krishna is showing it to him, Arjuna is seeing. So now we have this Sanjay, who basically chimes in. He says, okay, Dhritarashtra. And Dhritarashtra is actually physically blind. He has no eyes. So forget about telling him about what is going on in battlefield. Telling him about this, the divine glory of Bhagwan is beyond him. But Sanjay is so excited about it that he anyway says it. Eva mukta tato rajan. Eva mukta. After saying this means Arjuna, after seeing this, he, oh Rajan, tato Rajan, means now let me continue, because the whole story is being told to Dhritarashtra by Sanjay. So now Sanjay intervenes. He is like the, what they call as Sutradhar, or the guy who comes in between to connect the loose ends of the story. So he's Mahayogeshwaro Harihi. Mahayogeshwar. See, Arjun calls him Yogeshwar, and Sanjay says he's Mahayogeshwar. Darshaya Masa Parthaya Param Rupam Aishwaram. So he's now Arjun is seeing that whole glory. So this is what Sanjay is describing. Yeah, we already talked about Sanjay's, how he got his Divya Drishti. But one thing is there, that he was so fond of Pandavas. He was so fond of Krishna. And he didn't want this war to happen. So he, in his own ways, he was like a employee of Dhritarashtra. He was a secretary. So So at this point, he was just trying to tell Dhritarashtra, you are fighting against Bhagwan. You wake up. Now is the time to intervene and say, no more war. Give them what they have asked for. So you can still, kind of intervene and don't let this war happen. But, this guy was not ready for that. So anyway, Sanjay did his part. He's telling that Eva Muktava. So after telling this, now Arjuna uh, is seeing the whole vision at one time, everything, everywhere, all at once here. So because his devotion was much bigger, even bigger than Arjuna. So that's why he says Mahayogeshwar, because supremely divine, Param Rupa Aishwaram. So he's with his special understanding, so let me explain what the two ideas are about this Divya Drishti. One is Gyan Drishti, that you have now understood that underlying everything is Bhagwan only. That is thing. The other is that the ability to actually visualize that tattva, to see it as if it is happening in front of you. That kind of drishti is there too. So actually, I prefer that second one. I would like to see that the everything that you can visualize as well. So, like, let's take an example. So, suppose somebody has written Ramayana on a white page, right? So, with a black pen. So, people who don't understand Devanagari, for them, it is just some black marks on a white paper. That's all they will see. But the one who knows Devanagari, so he will understand, oh, this is Ramayana. And the person who is studied Ramayana, so he'll see, oh, the story will just flash in front of him. And the one who has more scholarly person who has understood the nuances of Ramayana, so for that it'll have a much bigger meaning. And the one who is a bhakta, the moment he sees Ramayana, his heart melts, and he's like in what do you call it, he is mesmerized by it. It is just the same thing, right? They're just black letters on white paper. But depending on uh, your relationship to that, it makes an impact. So the so it's like, Shivji, somebody, whatever people say, like somebody says anything starting with Ra, even they say Ravan, Bhagwan Shivji will go in trance. So somebody asked him, why do you go in trance for Ravan? He says, I didn't hear the last part. I just heard Ra and that's it. I was done. So the love for Bhagwan was so much, And the question is, where is he seeing it? He says, Mama Dehe. In Bhagwan's body, he's seeing all that, So, question is, why no one else saw it? Because they didn't have that Divya Drishti, simple answer. So since both Arjuna and Sanjay had that Divya Drishti, so they were able to have that clarity, So, so it's like, when you suppose somebody says, okay, you know what, here you can actually see a atom with your naked eye, it's right here on this particular, what do you call it? Uh, something, you see that, and then you put it under the microscope and then see it. Then you can actually see the things, in action. And so that is, or some bacteria or something that you can't see otherwise, you will be able to see it with the that drishti. So that is the magnified vision where he's what he is able to see is the whole world he saw at the same time. It's like, what is it called? The Darshaya Masa Parthaya Param Rupam Aishwaram. So he saw everything in front of him. He's seeing and understanding everything. It's like so clear to him. That's the beauty of this. It is like a imagery that Bhagwan is trying to create here. Not a like a fantasy, but actual, what is really happening. Because it's like what creates the distance is the space between the two objects, right? So if that space is removed, or somehow you are able to travel through space and see everything at one time, so what kind of effect that will have, so that is what is happening with Arjuna. So he's seeing it, everything is right there in, Bhagavan says, in my body. It's body means, let's not just get carried away with that part, but point is that in one speck itself, the whole vision was there. Just say, the same thing we talked about Yashoda ji. So somebody complained that he was eating mitti. So mother said, show me your mouth, open your mouth, open your mouth. She was like scolding this little boy, and the moment he opened it, she saw the whole universe right there. The stars, the sun, the everything was right there. So she was so like mesmerized and then scared also. She said, it's what is this? What is this is happening inside his mouth? So, but that was Bhagwan's way of showing, understand who I am. So now Sanjay is describing it further. And Arjuna he's initially he is struck by this, all the activities that he sees, the action that is going on. Now it says, Aneka Vaktra Nayanam, Anekadbhuta Darshanam, many mouths, many eyes. So he sees all these different faces, not just of Bhagwan, but all the devatas, all the, different divine things are happening. Adbhut darshanam. Adbhut, see, I'll explain that later, but adbhut is a very beautiful word. That is something that has to be something otherworldly, that is not possible in the realm of our जैसे हमारे नौ रस होते हैं, तो उसके अलावा भी एक है अद्भुत रस, कि that which is so wonderstruck that you have no way to explain or describe it, that you can't have a simile, उसकी उपमा नहीं दी जा सकती, you can't say like this. It was one of its kind, it happened and it's gone. It's like, uh, some people saw those northern lights. Once you see it, it's experience of a kind that doesn't happen everywhere. It has to happen in one place at one time. So and that also not one. Anek adbhuta darshanam. It happened like many such things. Everywhere he sees, it is that, something wonder, something so amazing that he is just, anek divya bharanam. And these, he saw the so many divine ornaments, Divya Aneko Ayudham. And he saw different devatas carrying their divine weapons. I'll explain all that. But let's continue with the 11th also. So we have together we can describe, because this is so beautiful. Divya Malam Bharadharam. So these divine beings wearing Divya Malas, all these ornaments are there, they are wearing these wonderful, their get-up is so Divya. Everything is divya, divya, divya here, divya gandhanu lepanam, all these chandan and all these different kasturi, all these things are, and he can also smell it, he sees the perfume. He is not just seeing it, he's also, it's like in middle of everything, and sarvashcharya mayam devam. So all these great divine beings are right there in front of him, and anant vishwato mukham. And it looked like everybody was facing it, so it's not like he had back of one devata and the front of another. Everybody was right there, he could, as if they were watching him. So in that one Vishwaroop, countless faces, countless eyes, anek, everything is multiple. See, anek does not mean the many in one way. When we say, okay, one or five or 10, 10 is also anek, other than one. But here it means countless, that they were, he could not just say, oh, there were 10 devatas. No, there's like infinite number of devatas, infinite number of ornaments and those that they were wearing, and those forms were carrying, when I say forms, let's say devatas, all these divine people were carrying some divine weapons also with them. And those weapons were not like worldly weapons, they were divine weapons. And all these were adorned with perfumes and chandan and all these things, so everything was so mesmerizing. He's like Sarva Mayam Devam. So he's in too much awe of everything, Ashcharya. You know why the word Ashcharya is there? That word and then charati. Charati iti ashcharya. That when you are so wonderstruck, that's the ashcharya. So this is the glory of Tatpada, that we have talked about. That how do you explain that great Brahman or great Ishwar? So this is the Vaishvanara Rupa. Vaishvanara is जिसको विराट रूप भी कहते हैं हम. When Bhagwan says, I am the creator, he actually becomes Virat. He becomes the Vaishwanara. In 15th chapter, we will talk about that as well. Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashritah. So he is the Vaishwanara. Vaishwanara is the Bhagwan's roop as the which has created this whole universe, So कहते हैं उसका ही वॉज सो ऑस्ट्रक कि मुंह खुला का खुला रह गया और आंखें एकदम ऐसे फटी रह गई, wow, what am I seeing? It's like that. He had not even thought कि he will have such a divine vision, so everywhere he is seeing that. In Purush Suktam we see that Sahasra Sirsha Purushaha Sahasrakshat Sahasrapad. So he was seeing that, what we hear about in Purush Suktam, he was actually seeing in front of him. So now the question is that if he was seeing all that, was there enough light for it? Was there enough, the bulbs were on, to see all these wonderful things? So he says, Divi Surya Sahasrasya. Divi Surya. If suppose 1,000 suns simultaneously rise in the sky, that kind of light was there. That Sahasrasya. Bhaved Yuga Paduttitha. So that means it appeared in that sky. Yadi bhasadrishi sa syad bhasastasya mahatmanah. So he was seeing that such a glow was there. This is Sanjay narrating it. So Sanjay is telling this is what was happening. because that you cannot see. Even the sun we cannot see with our naked eye. We have to see it with, put some glasses to, so that our eyes don't get damaged. So, but Sanjay is so excited. He says this light was the divine light. That light was like thousand suns at the same time appear on in the sky. You know, this reminds me that Oppenheimer, when first time he saw the atomic explosion, this is the verse that he told everybody. You know, he says, Divi Surya Sahasrasya Bhuved Yuga Patutyata. That means it looked like the thousand sun have risen at the same time. So anyway, that's a side topic. But then the so this light was coming from that Vishwarupa, that Virat Roop, or the Bhagwan itself. So there is nothing equal to that. So no, even Shankaracharya says that what does it mean by thousand Suryas? So he says this means that if there is so much, if there are thousand suns also rise at the same time, if suppose it happens, that is that light going to be the same as Bhagwan's? He says, no, it is not going to be. That's why, in again 15th chapter, Yadadityagatan tejah jagadbhasayate khilam yachandramasi yachagno tat tejo vidhi mamakam, which means that the light in the sun, the moon, the fire, everything is because of me. So the one which is giving them that power, it has to be way bigger than that, way more than that. So know that to be my tej only, a fraction of that tej that sun is using to illuminate this whole world. So this is the nature that he was seeing. He was seeing so much brightness everywhere, so much, everything was like Tatraikastham Jagat Krishnam. So it was all happening in one part of Bhagwan. It's like, what about the others? The whole world, the whole universe was Jagat Krishna, means the whole universe was right there. Pravi Bhakt Pravi Bhaktam Anekadha. So it was like he was saying many things divided in many different ways. So it was like he was he had this amazing vision that was right in front of him. Apashya Deva Devasya, that who Deva Devasya, Devon ke Dev, Bhagwan. So he was Apashya. He saw that. He was like so, that that greatness was so impactful for him that he was like almost shivering. That Sharire Pandavastada. Arjun, this is what Arjun was seeing. This is who is telling this? Sanjay is telling it to Dhritarashtra about this, what Arjun is experiencing. He can't, Arjun cannot explain it, but Sanjay is explaining. So, कहता है what Arjuna saw was Tatra Ekastam Jagat Krishnam. So, in one part of the body of Bhagwan, he saw all the nakshatra, devatas, humans, all the different beings, all the plants, lands, oceans, all different forms, the all the devatas that he had heard about and those that he had never heard about. He saw everything right there. And with different ornaments, with different ayudhas, that weapons and everything. And that also, that was all in one place. So he saw this whole universe. So it was divided. Divided means he saw everything like stars, planets, earth, ocean, char, achar, all these things were right in front of him. All the 84 lakh yonis he saw. It's like, okay, from bacteria all the way. He saw that, um, uh, what do you call it? The transition of how things are evolving, or that he saw right in front of his eyes. So wherever he looked, he saw Bhagwan. Wherever he looked, he saw Bhagwan and the all the other things. So it was, to him, he was like, what is happening? Arjuna also saw the limitation of everything. That means the devatas were doing some their stuff. It's not like they could do uh, some other stuff. But one thing he saw, that everybody was actually worshipping Bhagwan only, because there was so much devotion in the people, all the things that he was seeing. So even the stars and planets, they were obeying Bhagwan, as if Bhagwan was continuously, controlling everything, meticulously. So let's do the next one also. Tatasa vismayavishtaha. So he is seeing this expanse, seeing all these things all together. It's not like one by one. कि चलो पहले ये दिखाते हैं, फिर ये दिखाते हैं, फिर नहीं, everything all together in one place. So he was so awestruck. So even after seeing all these things, Bhagwan's expanse, the power, the greatness, he says, Rashta Roma Dhananjaya. The hair on his arm, they stood up. It's like Rashta Roma is, kya bolte hain? But there is a word for it. I can't remember now. That when you are so excited about something, then it's like the hair stands up.
Get
So
goosebumps.
goosebumps. So he had like goosebumps. Rashta Roma Dhananjaya. So he was so in wonderment. Pranmaya Shir Sa Devaha. At that time, he just bowed down to Bhagwan. He folded his hand. He said, Namaskar. What are you showing me, Bhagwan? This is something so uncomprehensible. It is so amazing. So, Kritanjali, Kritanjali Bhashatah. So, with folded hands, he is now praying to Bhagwan. So, that this is Arjun, this is Sanjay telling. Then Dhananjaya is the one who has got such wealth. So he saw this Vishwarupa. That's his wealth, actually. This is the greatest wealth anybody can ask for, to be able to see Bhagwan's glory in this form. So vaya Vismaya Vishtaha. So overwhelmed. He is like amazed, Ascharya Chakit, wonderment. He is no words to describe it. So, like he's so Madhusudan Saraswati, he is he's given a commentary on this. He says, I'll just give you a very brief explanation of that. He says, normally in literature, we talk about certain emotions, that but they all stay dormant, like love, laughter, grief, enthusiasm, disgust, fear, wonderment. All these are there in us. But when certain occasion arises, then these emotions manifest. So one emotion at a time. When you are, suppose you are seeing a movie, you see, or in a dance, they are able to express these things. They are able to show these different emotions. So so they arouse certain emotions. Like rasa. They're called the rasa. So like shoka or karuna, or the shringar ras, which is of romance or beauty or something. or hasyaras, when it makes you laugh, like the, you know, Bali and not Bali, Angad and Ravan Samvad, when he goes to his thing and says, "Mera pair utha ke dikhao," that kind of thing. It makes you laugh also. So, but here there is a one different one. It is called the Adbhut Ras. That's what I was talking about. That um, so for creation of that experience, that rasa, you need a few factors. You need a ashraya. In this, ashraya is the one who is having that emotion or that experience, and the one because of which the object or the person or the situation that caused it to happen, that brought out that emotion, is called the support or the alamban. you know so Bhagavan says, like Mother Yashoda, whenever that love was there all the time. Even in her sleep, that love for Bhagwan was there. And like little Krishna, baby Krishna. But whenever Bhagwan was doing some Leela, that time she would hide and watch it, so that at that time that Vatsalya Ras was over, it was uh, giving her so much joy. So when she sees um that is called anubhava. you know like when child is sleeping, theek hai, so raha hai, but when he is in action and giving you so much joy, by all this leela that he is doing. So this expression or the expresses that, it is called the anubhava. So three words we have learned: the ashraya, who is having it, the alamban, because of which it is happening, and the experience itself is anubhava. The expression that happens at that time in your face, that is called hav. Hav. That's why we say hav bhav. So bhava is that, the experience, and the expression at that time is called hav. And then जैसे भगवान कृष्ण, when he goes to a gopi's house and he sees the pot of butter sitting there, and he's thinking, oh wow, if I can get that. So he salivates, and then he invites all his friends, let's get this butter. So so this is the kind of things that happen. And when lot of things like this happen together, it's called sanchari bhav. That means multiple emotions are happening together. So that means it is not just one emotion but multiple emotion. And what is happening to Arjuna is these multiple emotions are taking over. Some of wonderment, some of amazement, some of fear also. That where am I? What is this that is happening? So that is the Adbhut Ras. So this person has to have, but for that to experience, you have to have a soft heart. You cannot be a hard-hearted person, and you have to have these feelings. Because person who is too stern or too logical, he may not enjoy these things. He will start to look at faults in this instead of flowing with the beauty of this whole thing. So the frame of mind has to be there. That's the important point. So Madhusudan Saraswati is explaining this, and I'm just giving you a very short synopsis that Arjuna is the ashray, and whose mind is now visualizing all these things, and Krishna is the alamban. It's the support for all these things to happen, to show Arjuna the Vishwaroop. So at that time, it created this wonderment. The experience is called the Adbhut Ras, the fascination, delight, wonderment. the Risht Roma Dhananjaya, all those goosebumps that were manifesting for him. But all this results in a outburst of bhakti, because now he has nothing more to see or do. He's seeing everything right in front of him. Everything is Bhagwan only. What else? What other ambition can be there after that? So he's saying that after that there was nothing but love for Bhagwan. So that's why after 11th chapter is Bhakti Yoga. That it takes us to the next level of but anyways, so let's conclude here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti. So